Okay, so the final part of this that we need to cover that goes along with still writing linear equations is comparing parallel and perpendicular lines and their graphs. Parallel lines never intersect, so if I have a graph, I could draw two lines that are parallel, meaning they'll never intersect, and what that means is they have the same slope. Okay, so if we look at this form and remember y equals mx plus b, the slope here is 2 and the slope here is 2. So we can look at that and say, hey, they are parallel because they have the same slope, and the fact that they have a different y-intercept means they're not exactly the same line. So they could be at different points on the y-axis. So maybe this is positive 4, this is negative 3, but they have the same slope, so they're parallel. All right, they'll never cross. But the key with parallel lines is, in mathematical terms, is they want you to realize that they have the same slope. Okay? Perpendicular lines intersect at a 90-degree angle. If we look at just our coordinate plane, this is a 90-degree angle. All right? And a 90-degree angle is represented with that symbol. So the slopes between a 90-degree angle of two lines, so let's say I have, let's see here, let's erase this. If this is my coordinate plane here, and let's say I have line A is going this way, and line B is going this way, and these are indicated that they're intersecting at a 90-degree angle, we would say that these two lines are perpendicular. Now you can see this is a negative slope, this is a positive slope, but the relationship between the slopes of these particular lines are the opposite reciprocal. Okay, so just a quick review. The reciprocal of a line is the definition is any number that, you can multiply a number by its reciprocal to get it to equal 1. But we just need to know that, like, hey, if I flip the fraction, so like 4 over 3, the reciprocal is 3 over 4, right? If I have a whole number, 3, and I make that a fraction, the reciprocal of that would be 1 over 3. So it's just the flipped version of the fraction in a sense. All right, opposite is exactly what it sounds. If I have a positive, the opposite of positive is negative, and vice versa. All right, so if we are given, let's say this is 3. Let's say this slope is 3. The opposite of 3 is negative 3, and the reciprocal of 3 would be negative 1/3. Right? So all we have to do is take the opposite of whatever it is and flip it. That's the relationship between the slopes of perpendicular lines. Parallel lines, same. Perpendicular lines, opposite reciprocal. All right? So for example, if I have 2, if I spell this out, so if m equals 2, the opposite of 2 is negative 2, and the reciprocal of that would be, just think of it as 2 over 1, would be negative 1 over 2. And that's how we get this. Right? 7 over 2, flip it, 2 over 7, and the opposite. So that's how we get. So this slope would be perpendicular to that slope. Right? If I had 5, the opposite of 5, or you can do reciprocal first, it doesn't matter. So maybe I want to say, hey, the reciprocal of 5 is 1 over 5, and the opposite of that is negative 1/5. All right? So when mathematical terms, when talking about perpendicular lines, the slopes, that's the relationship. Now, on the next page is basically what you're going to need to do with this information. All right, so some sample questions would be, write an equation for a line that is perpendicular to a given line that passes through a given point. Well, we know from previous lessons that all we definitely need to write a line, we need M and we need B, right? And if we don't have either of them, we need to start with M and then another point. If we have that, we can write an equation. All right? So in these examples, we're going to give you a point, which we're going to use here, right? So here's the given point, and we just need to figure out what M is going to be. All right, depending on whether we're comparing a perpendicular or a parallel line. In this case, perpendicular. So the given line is this, And the given line, m equals 1/6, right? So all we need to do, this whole equation, we just need to pull out that 1/6 to start working with it. All right, so once we know that we're looking for a perpendicular line, we got to take the opposite reciprocal of this number. The opposite would be going from a positive to a negative, and then we flip the 1/6 to 6/1. So we're basically using this, m equals -6. Once we have that, we have our slope and our point, and we do what we did before. We just start writing the equation of the line. Remember, y equals mx plus b. We're solving for b now. We put in our y, we put in our m, we put in our x. 6 times -1 is +6. Subtract 6 from both sides, so we get -10 equals b. So I know -10 is my b. I figured out my slope, -6. So the equation of the line is y equals -6x minus 10. This is the equation of the line that is perpendicular to this line that passes through that point. Okay? So that is how you set that up. All you're doing is identifying what the slope you have to use. They already give you what point you're going to use. All right? And everything else is the same that we've done in the past. If they're asking for a parallel line, it's even easier, right? You just have to use the same slope. So if I'm looking at this problem, all right, and obviously we have a different point that it's passing through, but it's saying, hey, you're going to find a parallel line, all right, a line that is parallel to the given line that passes through the given point. I need to just use the same slope. So in this problem, I'm going to use 1/6 as my slope, and I'm using 6, -4 as the point that it goes to. So remember, y equals mx plus b. The only thing I don't have is my b right now. So here's my x, here's my y. So I can say -4 equals 1/6 times 6 plus b. 1/6 times 6 is going to be 1 when you type that into your calculator. Subtract 1 from both sides. -5 equals b. I have my b. I have my slope. Now I can write the equation of the line. Y equals mx plus b. All right, so this section just deals with whatever they're asking. If they're asking for parallel, you're using the same slope that is in the line, so you're going to have to identify that m in the line. And if they're asking for perpendicular, you're going to have to know that you're going to take the opposite reciprocal, and that's the one you're going to use.